Well, I wanted to re-record this because I had done it twice and then I only had one recorded, and that was the first one where I basically stopped before the end. So here it comes again, a little bit more, maybe not as long, but kind of really getting to what are the different kind of channels we can have in a connection chart. So here we have a connection chart. It's not so big, so let's do like this. Um, so here we can see a connection chart, it's by color. So we have one green, that is one person, and one blue, that is the other person. So we can see that here we have quite a lot of dominance channels where the green person has the whole channel. We have at least, actually we have two of these. And then we have one with the blue person, and that means that when there is a channel like that, we can kind of look at the whole process in the other person and learn from them. And it can be quite fascinating to see that whole process play out because there's not a hanging gate, there's actually both gates meeting. And usually that's, yeah, we can be quite different because if somebody has a lot of um, for example, here, a lot of the Finnish integration circuitry, we can be different. But usually it's kind of, if we can just like learn to like differences and be fascinated, this usually isn't a very big problem. And the other kind of channels we have are electromagnetic channels. And we have one here. I think there's only one in the chart. Oops. So the one, let's open it actually. So the one that we can see here, this is probably better, is between the 64 and the 47. And this is two different hanging gates that meet in a channel. So either person on their own doesn't have the channel. Together, 1 plus 1 becomes more than 2. There is a synergy. There is a process um, that is created, you could say, by two people, um, and that can feel you're more together than by yourself. And here it really has to do with imagination and with transformation. And electromagnetic channels feel intense often. They feel like I said, they are like we attract to that because we attract to kind of the other end of it, and to the possibility for being more. And then we have the compromise channels that are the most tricky ones. And I kind of like the word being overpowered, because when we see here, we have the 8-1 and the 360, and it really has to do with feeling like the other person overpower you. So here we could see that the blue person has the whole channel. They have the 8 and the 1. Now you can of course also go up to the chart and see, okay, the 1 is here and the 8 is here, the whole channel. And the green person only has the 1. And then that means that you can never win when you only have a hanging gate and the other person have the whole thing. So you're going to feel this, probably not in the beginning. In the beginning, it's going to feel like it's an electromagnetic channel. It's going to feel very it's going to feel like, wow, we have the same theme, the possibility for like the same process, which is the whole channel. Here we are speaking about the channel of inspiration and the creative role model. So that's something that you're going to feel and that you're going to have in common. And then as time passes, the person with the hanging gate are going to feel like they are kind of overpowered because they don't have the whole thing. And then mainly two things can happen. They can start to kind of want to become the other end. So they're going to start to like impose their creative expression through the throat. Or number two is that when you have the first gate and not the 8th gate, you have creativity, but you don't have an outlet for it. So basically what it's going to be is that you might be frustrated. And also, what is it that you're going to feel? If you're a generator, and that's like, manifesting generator, that is 70% of people. So your not self theme is going to be frustration. But you could also feel bitterness, or you could feel anger if you're a projector, or or a manifester. So there can be frustration and like different not self themes that comes from being overpowered. And here we see the 360. So here is the green person that has the whole channel, and the blue person that is overpowered. So here we can say, okay, you have the 3, but you don't have the 60. So either you can try to kind of impose your structures or kind of limit things your way because you want to try to become the other end if you're the blue one, or you could just feel like, you know, the other person is much better and when it comes to like organizing and yeah, everything that the 60 has, both kind of in the good and in the bad. And I really kind of feel as well that, I've said it before, that it's very good to look at both the repressive and the reactive patterns of the shadow if you have the Gene Key book, so you kind of understand what it is that for example, mediocrity, we have them here, and entropy mean both in the repressive and the reactive, and the same thing with chaos and limitation. What are the repressive and the reactive patterns? And what did I want to say? Well, I also feel like here, for example, because what we say, it's really the advice is to never try to fight with somebody that has the whole channel if you only have the gate. Except if you can accept that you, by mechanics, by body graph, you know, design and body graph mechanics, you don't have the whole channel and you're never going to win, then you can rest in that and you can let the other person have the whole process. Here, I feel like in the first gate here, this person has the 1-4, so it's about creativity. You know, aloneness is a medium for creativity. Is the line companion text. So that means that if you just go about your creativity your own way and live it out, you know, then it doesn't have to do so much with the other, and then you can let the other person have that connection to the throat and express it in another way. You don't have to feel like you don't know how to express it, right? So I guess that is a little bit what I can say about these 3 different kinds of the dominance channels and the electromagnetic channels and the compromised channels. And then, of course, there are also companionship channels. It's like if you have a whole, channel is the same for both. Oh, I actually see, interesting. I do see an electromagnetic here, and I do see an electromagnetic here now. There are a lot of electromagnetics. Actually, there are 4. So that's actually super cool. I would say, okay, so this is also an advice, you know, I would say in this case, there are only 2 compromised. And the compromised is like here, the green person is compromised. Here, the blue person is compromised. It's kind of even. And it's not something where the sun and the earth, or, you know, design or personality is compromised. It's because that's where it could become, where I would say, okay, you know, let it go, I say, as a general advice. But if it's in your sun or your earth, I guess that you're here, your incarnation cross or your activation sequence is what you're here to live out. So to let it go when it's your destiny can be tricky. So if you're compromised in your incarnation cross, in any of those gates, I would say that could be become long-term a problem. If it's not that, let it go. If it's only 2 channels and 1 each is okay. I have an example. So I was in a relationship where there was 7 compromised channels, and I compromised the other person in 3 of those. And I had it, that was the 31 that I remembered, the 28. And I had this person tell me all the time, I was so arrogant and I was so stubborn. And maybe, you know, I have those activations. Of course, that is true in the shadow. I also see that this is really what this person was living out, the stubbornness and the arrogance, in the way that, you know, even in the way that this kind of conflict was created. So really, it's also interesting, and we can have compassion as the person that has the whole channel for the other, and kind of make them understand that in those things, it's just human design really helps us and tells us, you know, when to let go, basically. which is all the time, more or less. So yeah, I hope that this was helpful, and please ask me more questions. Bye.